Hey friends! Today I'm going to discuss something that is all over the internet and I think everybody should know about themselves. Have you ever wondered why when someone is pulling away from the relationship and you feel like they're pulling away, it just makes you want them a little bit more? Or the other way, when someone is being very active, gives you a lot of attention, gives you love that you want, and wants to connect with you on an emotional level, to be closer to you, you start to feel the ache and you start to feel uncomfortable with that and you start to pull away. Or even maybe when you bounce from one to another. These all are patterns on how we form the connections with other people. It can be romantic connections, it can be friends, it can be family members, it doesn't matter. Basically, we're gonna be talking about attachment styles. I'm sure you have heard this before, but if you haven't, you are here for a treat. Because I feel like everybody has to know what kind of attachment style they have to understand themselves better and to learn how to feel less pain and to hurt less when you're in a relationship. As always, who am I? What are we all doing here? My name is Daria. I'm a therapist and psychologist working primarily with expats or immigrants who moved abroad because that's what I have the most experience with. But I also work with all other people as well. I focus on the emotional side of our psychic, and that's why we're here on Emotional Abroad. This channel is basically a collection of things that I have been learning through my therapeutical journey and then learn as my profession. So that's a collection of things I wish somebody told me that are deeply therapeutical, deeply psychological, but I really try to present them to you in a way that is simple, not boring, something that everybody can understand, something that I can understand. So here we are. So if that's something that speaks to you, if topics such as imposter syndrome and how to be grateful and how gratitude can improve your mental health, how to stop postponing your life, how to stop thinking in black and white, how to go after what you want, or how to form meaningful, love, romantic connections in your life. If all those topics speak to you and that's something you're interested in, I would advise you to subscribe and follow my journey. So, if you have ever wondered why some people are clingy and needy and require a lot of attention and have needs, and other people tend to stay away from all of that, maybe you can see that they're a little closed up. Maybe you have a feeling when you open up to them and they tend to pull away and shut down. It all shows their attachment style. Of course, there are many more aspects that I talk about in this channel as well, but this is one of the theories, one of the basic theories which I found incredibly useful and very easy to understand and very easy to examine in yourself what kind of attachment style you have to people. Now, what is the attachment style? Attachment style is a pattern that we develop as kids based on the way how our parents treated us. Yes, I'm always gonna say that all your patterns and triggers and problems or issues, they all come from the childhood. Now, the good thing is that now you're an adult and you can learn about them and you can work with them. I never say that if you're being a dick, it's because I only had a hard childhood. We all had a hard childhood, okay? But now you're an adult, responsible for your own life. And you can decide whether to be a dick or not. And that's how simple it is. So, everything comes from childhood. An attachment style is a pattern of relationship we form with other people, depending on how much security, emotional involvedness, and care our parents provided for us. There are 4 major attachment styles: secure, avoidant, anxious, and disorganized. They describe how we can handle emotional intimacy, form connections, and how we can trust other people. This is going to be the first introductory video about all the attachment styles, and I will dive deep into each of them I'm going to mention today in my next videos. So this one is just for you to think maybe you have this or that attachment style. So wait till the end where I describe all 4 of them, make little notes, and then we will dive deeper in the next videos to each of them. Now I'm going to tell you a little story how the attachment styles were discovered in the first place. That was an experiment. I have no idea which year, I don't know who did that, but there was an experiment where parents had to bring their children to playroom and then leave them. Just classically, no drama, nothing, they just had to leave and see how children will react on the absence of their parent. Now, one group of children were totally cool about it. The parent left, they said goodbye, give a little kiss, and continue playing with their toys. When the parent came back, they were happy to see them. They continued maybe playing, maybe went with the parent home, they were totally fine. Second group of kids, when the parent left and then came back, pretended that nothing even happened. When the parent came back, they were very distant, they were very closed up, they pretended like nothing happened, they weren't happy to see them, they were completely closed up. The third group of kids, when the parent came back, burst into anxiety. They even started to cry and sometimes they were even physically violent with their parent. They were very emotional. So based on that, scientists and psychologists started to examine their attachment styles. Now I'm gonna name the attachment styles one by one and give it a little description so you can see if maybe that's you who I'm talking about. Let's start with the VIPs of attachment styles, which also unfortunately is the least of our population, and they are the secure attachment styles. Now, secure folks feel absolutely comfortable both with their independence and with intimacy. You're totally fine to be close to someone, to share intimate moments, to feel emotionally connected, but you're not specifically needing it. You're fine either way. And when things go wrong, you can talk about them and talk through it instead of blowing up or closing up. Now, why do I say that these people are rare? It's because their parents, their caregivers, were always there for them. People with secure attachment style know that whatever happens, their caregivers are there for them, they love them, and gonna provide the security that they need as a child. That was the first group of children I talked about earlier. They were these children that were totally cool with parents leaving and totally cool with them coming back. And you know why? Because they knew that the parent loved them and they knew that if the parent goes away, they will come back. Now, how many of you can actually identify with these dynamics? I certainly do not. These types of parents or caregivers always showed up to every game, to every performance, were there for them, gave you a hug when you needed it, listened to your problems, never told you not to share, never told you to shut up, never ignored you, never gave you mixed signals. So you basically are one of those rare, healthy people who now grow up and can forward it to other people, to their children. So this video is not for you. You can skip that part and just move on to the next one, because if you're watching this video, you can tap you on the shoulder, say how lucky you are, and just continue doing the good work. This video is not for you. Who is this video for? Are, for example, the people with anxious attachment style. We see that a lot now. All TikTok is full with anxious attachment style TikToks and videos. So maybe what I'm gonna tell you is nothing new, but I'm gonna give you a little bit of my touch to that topic. Now, if you constantly ask yourself, do they really love me? What did I do wrong? If the moment that you feel someone's pulling away, it triggers your pain and your trauma and you need to find out what the fuck is happening, you have anxious attachment style. This comes from inconsistent caregiving. One minute your parents love you, another minute they ghost you. You are never sure about whether you're gonna be safe and secure, whether they love you or whether they hate you. You constantly feel like you did something wrong, and you constantly felt like you're responsible for your parents' feelings and emotions. So now you're hyper aware of when people are starting to pull away. You need reassurance a little bit more than other people, because you are used to a very turbulent environment from your family, from your home. You are usually used to walking on eggshells, and you can sense the tiniest switch in someone's tone, mood, emotion. A lot of times, you spend your time around people, looking at them and examining them. Usually, these people are very empathetic and can really spot a tiniest difference in someone else's mood or attitude. You constantly ask yourself, did something happen? Like, that sounded weird. What was that about? You constantly think about other people and why they do things the way they do. Now, honestly speaking, that's me. So the moment when someone starts to pull away or starts talking funny, they make a weird expression on their face, my first trigger and my first emotion is anxiety, and I'm like, oh shit, like what happened? And again, if that happens to you, I don't want you to feel guilty or blame yourself. That is nothing you can do consciously. This is an absolute unconscious reaction based on the nature of how you were cared for as a child. Now you can learn to work with it. So now I'm much better in recognizing this pattern. Of course, I'm still gonna feel it. The moment something goes bad, this is always gonna be my first reaction. It's always gonna be your first reaction. But then you can recognize it and say, no, that has nothing to do with my partner, boyfriend, this person I'm talking to. It has to do with my attachment style. Their behavior says nothing about me. It has nothing to do with me. And then you can work with it. A lot of times people with anxious attachment style form connections with the next attachment style I'm going to talk about, and that's our avoidance. Now, the avoidant attachment style is extremely interesting. It's probably even more interesting than an anxious one. People with avoidant attachment style don't need anyone. They respect their independence and they're all about protecting their freedom. Now, it has nothing to do with your independence and nothing to do with your freedom. Nobody is taking your independence and nobody is taking away your freedom. These people are just afraid to be truly connected and truly emotionally intimate with the other person because they're afraid they're gonna get hurt. So basically, the moment they start to feel close with someone, the moment they start to feel emotionally connected with someone, they pull away because they can't leave me if I leave them first. They can't hurt me if I hurt them first. Sounds familiar? That way, you're subconsciously protecting yourself from pain that might come in the future. It probably will not. But that is your subconscious reaction to the way you were brought up. So these people usually are brought up by cold parents, especially a cold mother, an emotionless mother. They were emotionally distant. Maybe they were really provided financially and physically, and they did all these parents' duties, but they were not there for the child emotionally. So these people learn to rely on themselves. You feel like deep connections are very risky because if you truly fall for someone and then they abandon you in one way or another, you're gonna be wrecked and your whole world is gonna be fucked all over again, like it felt when you were a child. So now, the moment when you find someone who is either anxious or secure and they are ready to talk about their feelings, they're there for you emotionally, they demand emotional connection. This scares the fuck out of you. And you are scared to open up. Because if they leave you and you open up and be the first or second time in your life, you will never be able to open up to anyone again. If that speaks to you, you are an avoidant. And as I mentioned before, usually anxious and avoidant find each other because they play this game of pull on a string. So anxious want to get closer to you, they want to form connections, they want reassurance, and the more they want, the more avoidant feels pressured and feels insecure and scared and feels like things are moving too fast or that the other person requires too much and they cannot provide it and cannot fulfill their needs. But in fact, they just are scared to be open and show their real emotions and their real feelings and who they really are because they're afraid that then this person might leave them. So the more avoidant pulls away, the more the anxious types just activates and wants answers and wants to know what's going on because one moment everything was fine and the next moment it's not. Anxious person, this exactly triggers their childhood trauma where their parents acted exactly the same way. So a lot of times, a lot of long-term relationships and connections are formed between avoidant and an anxious attachment style, which is very unfortunate because they're both hurting each other. So I feel like both the anxious attachment style and avoidant attachment style either have to find a secure attachment style, but now like why would a secure person wanna do all of that? Or they need to learn how to communicate things so clearly and be aware of their attachment style and their triggers, hence this video, because it can really work. Even if you are anxious, that's something that you unfortunately cannot change, but you can really significantly improve like I did. So communication, and learn about yourself and learn about your triggers and be able to communicate it and go through fear. It's scary, it is fucking scary, do it anyway. Is it scary to open up? Absolutely fucking yes. Do it anyway, because if you don't open up to 20 people, you will never find the one. If you open up to one person, doesn't work out and you close up, you will never find a true connection that you are really longing for. Now, the fourth attachment style is the rarest one, and it's disorganized attachment style. I'm going to cover it very quickly. Disorganized attachment style is a combination of the anxious and avoidant attachment styles. So if you want love and reassurance, but at the same time you're terrified of it, this might be you. People with disorganized attachment style usually are brought up by abusive caregiving, chaotic caregiving. There's this I want to be close to you, but I'm so fucking scared of it dynamics. There are unpredictable emotions, walking on eggshells, being scared to open up, confused desire for being close to someone. This is very complicated to diagnose and very complicated to find out, but if you did, the good thing is that you can now start working on it. So which of that is your attachment style? I will be very happy if you share in the comments. Do you constantly crave reassurance, or do you tend to pull away the moment things get serious? Anyway, knowing your attachment style is not about giving yourself a label, but it's about learning more about you and how to form long, healthy connections with other people. I know you want that. I know you want someone who will truly be there for you and understand you. And if you constantly self-sabotage and you constantly ask yourself, why the fuck am I like this? Maybe that's the fuck why. And that's gonna be the first step for you to realize that and start working on it. And the moment when you face those triggers and face those reactions, it's fine. You're still gonna have them in the future, but you will learn how to work with them. Because remember, when you're a child, you do not choose to which family you are born into. It wasn't your choice to be born. And there is nothing you can do about that, about the way your parents brought you up, about the unfortunate events that happened when you were a child. Now, it's a different story. Now, you are responsible for your own happiness, you are responsible for the environment you're in, you're responsible for the people you have in your life. And the only person you can blame is yourself if that doesn't work out for you. So invest into your mental health, invest into learning about yourself, invest into educating yourself, because this all is an investment into your own happiness. The more you know about yourself, the less you're gonna be scared. That's a wrap for today. As I mentioned, in the next video, I'm gonna dive deeper into each of those attachment styles I just discussed. So if now you realize that you might be avoidant, wait for my next video when I'm going to talk about the avoidant attachment style and how to beat it and how to be healthier, how not to be scared of opening up to people. The same goes for my anxious folks and my disorganized squad. Again, people with this secure attachment style, I don't think it's going to be for you, but it will be good for you also to listen to that and know that other people experience emotions differently. So, for example, if you are in a relationship with someone who is a little bit more clingy or needy, or start to pull away the moment things go south, this will help you understand why it's happening as well. So I think everybody can find something in my videos. Thank you so much for watching. I wish you a lovely day. Don't be too hard on yourself, and I will see you next time. Bye.